Well, I think we'll get started. So for the benefit of the group, I'm Tom Costabile. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have the pleasure and the honor of serving as ASME's Executive Director and CEO. I'd like to start by thanking all of you for joining us on this second day of ASME's Public Policy Impact event for 2021. We are continuing our discussions today on technology policy dialogue underway in Washington. With ASME's long history in standards and certification, technology innovation has always been at the heart of our work. As engineers, we appreciate the critical role that the Department of Energy plays in supporting research and development across the energy technology community. Whether it's modeling, simulation, novel materials, advanced manufacturing, or renewable energy, the Department of Energy is a key partner of every part of the engineering community. So now for perspective from Congress on some key infrastructure questions of the day, it's my pleasure to welcome Representative Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania's #1 Congressional District. Congressman, welcome and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Tom. Thanks for having me.
So just for the audience's benefit, Congressman Fitzpatrick grew up in Leventon in Bucks County, which he now represents. He has an incredible commitment to public service because for 14 years prior to representing his hometown in Congress, Congressman Fitzpatrick served both as an FBI special agent and a federal prosecutor, fighting political corruption and supporting counterintelligence efforts, including being embedded with the U.S. Special Forces as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Sir, thank you first and foremost for your service. It's very much appreciated. The Congressman is a ranking member of the House Subcommittee on Europe, Energy and the Environment, and Cyber, where he was appointed by the House leadership to serve on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He also serves in key roles on the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, including on Aviation, Highways and Transit, and Railroads, Pipelines, and Hazardous Materials subcommittees, all key areas for the mechanical engineering community. In April this year, he became co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus, a block of bipartisan-minded House members evenly divided between the two parties. The group has floated legislation on immigration, criminal justice reform, healthcare, transportation, workforce development, and environmental issues to advance the bipartisan policies dialogue in Congress. He's been a leader of the infrastructure issues in particular, including pushing for agreement on bipartisan infrastructure investment package, and he's consistently pushed innovative ideas for sustainable transportation and infrastructure investment policies. So with that, we look forward to hearing your perspective, Congressman, on the ongoing debate. The floor is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks to all of you for the work you do, for the contributions you make towards the policy discussions of this very, very important topic. Obviously, infrastructure is front and center right now. We are trying feverishly to get to a compromise, and we're very, very close to getting there. As far as the three areas that we're looking at, and when I say we, I mean a bipartisan group of members of the House and the Senate. There's a number of us, myself and Josh Gottheimer, who are the two co-chairs of the Problem Solvers Caucus. We have Senator Cassidy, Senator Manchin, and a bipartisan group of our colleagues in the Senate that are all working to try to accomplish three things. Number one, agree on the definition of what we want this infrastructure bill to be, which we've already accomplished. Second is the scope. So how much money do we want assigned to each of these buckets that meet the definition in Part A? And we're very close to getting there. We're probably about, I'd say, 7 days or so from getting there, if not sooner. And then lastly are the paid fors. How are we going to finance it? And obviously there's a range of options. That's the most controversial and sticky issue, but we'll get there because what we want to do is keep this outside of reconciliation. I'm not a fan of reconciliation. The first time reconciliation came up when the Republicans held the House, the Senate, and the White House, I voted against it, not once, but twice. The issue then was healthcare. And I just think it's a bad first process to go down when you just want to try to ram through a purely partisan ideological piece of legislation, which number one, typically is not the best policy consideration. Second, it's not sustainable, as we've seen, because anytime something gets passed via reconciliation, the first thing that happens when the other party takes control is they try to undo it. That's not good for our economy. It's not good for our infrastructure for sure. And it's not good for investment. What are we looking for when we're spending infrastructure dollars? Well, we want it to be an investment. A wise dollar, federal dollar spent on infrastructure will yield $2, $3, $4 in private investment. A poor dollar spent will yield 20 or 30 cents per dollar invested. Once we get through the scope, which we are very close to getting done, we're going to get to the paid fors. We're going to have an alternative package to hold up to say this is bipartisan and bicameral, and people can contrast that with what the administration is offering should they choose to offer up a reconciliation package that's only meant to get voted on and voted for by one political party. We're trying to avoid that. As my friend Joe Manchin has said many times, if you can't agree on infrastructure, you can't agree on anything. It's the most bipartisan issue by its very nature. It's an investment, not an expense. It's a job creator. It's a national security issue. It's an environmental issue. It's a public safety issue. And that's why we're working hard, myself and Josh. He's my Democrat co-chair. We're good friends. We came in together in the 115th Congress. And we're going to have a alternative bill. That did not exist, by the way, with the ARP, just because of the speed at which it was passed earlier on in this cycle. We will have an alternative for infrastructure, and hopefully that will be debated. We will have a bipartisan alternative to a more partisan, purely partisan bill. And then we're going to have open discussions about it. People can amend it. They can mark it up. They can do whatever they want. But it's important that people know that that option will be there. And for purposes of you all, the good news is that there will be some infrastructure bill passed. That I'm fairly certain of, which will mean robust investments in the work that you all do. So I don't want to do too much talking time. I want to yield back the floor, and happy to answer any questions.
Congressman, thank you. And again, I can only extend a heartfelt thanks to you and to your staff. Your staff has been absolutely a pleasure to deal with in getting this set up. And to me, that's a part of success. So please thank them for us. And again, thank you, sir, for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking a few minutes and very much appreciate your perspectives.
My pleasure. Thank you.